Ponytails. Read by Scribbler. Gifts Ungiven by Slate Sadpony. Rarity leaned back and smiled, placing her spectacles down on the table and sliding her needle back into its pincushion. In front of her stood a small dress form, carefully sculpted and moulded to resemble a young filly. The dress Rarity had built upon the model was an exquisite balance of colour and simplicity, clearly practical, yet working hard to be showy as well. A mixture of soft whites, pinks and purples, it perfectly matched the particular fur and mane of Rarity's sister, Sweetie Belle.
What do you think, Opal?
Rarity examined her work.
It's certainly a lot finer than what I made her last year. And the year before that, well, let's not talk about that one.
Rarity yawned and then began gently stroking her cat between the ears. Opal purred and clawed at the carpet. She closed her eyes and went to sleep. Rarity smiled and pulled Opal into her lap. She really did like the dress, and the yearly heartwarming Eve dress for Sweetie Belle had become one of her favourite traditions. With young Sweetie outgrowing her clothes every year and destroying those which she had not outgrown, it was a good way to give Sweetie something both personal and practical. Besides, what with their parents drowning Sweetie in toys and games, clothing tended to be different and unique by comparison. And who wouldn't want to get a Carousel Boutique original for hearthwarming? Rarity heard a knock on her door and trotted over, gently pushing Opalescence aside. She opened the door and rolled her eyes as Sweetie tracked in mud and slush. The little filly stomped her boots on the floor and pulled off her scarf, tossing both in a pile.
Sweetie, I thought I taught you better than that.
Rarity picked up a mop with her magic.
Oh, sorry.
Sweetie looked down at the tracks on the hardwood floor.
It's just so cold outside.
Rarity quickly mopped up the mud and slush.
This is why I installed that nice doormat, Sweetie. At least stomp off the snow before coming inside. Just look at your outfit, darling. What happened to that nice parka I made for you? Or the matching boots and scarf?
Oh, I lost them. My closet is so full, and I think they ended up in that pile of clothes that Mom donated to the Orphan Folk Center.
Rarity winced. She'd put dozens of hours into that outfit.
I still need to powder my nose a bit and get ready. Think you left some holiday cookies on the table. Feel free to help yourself.
You always take too long.
It won't take too long, I promise,
shouted Rarity from the top of the stairs. Rarity closed the door, making certain that Sweetie Belle wasn't behind her, before turning to the dress laid out on her desk. She folded it and lowered it into the box, adjusting it slightly. Before putting on the lid, she brushed the fabric flat, ensuring that every ribbon and embroidered edge was right where she wanted it. Next, she coated the box in a gold reflective paper, taping the edges gently and folding it around the corners exactly. With that done, she had only to use her T-square ruler to ensure the ribbon made a pair of straight, perpendicular lines. She set down her work and smiled as she examined it. Perfect and exact, just as it should be. Just as she finished, Rarity heard a loud crash coming from the kitchen. She came down the stairs in a rush, struggling not to drop her present as she ran.
Sweetie, what are you doing?
I was looking for my present.
Sweetie emerged from underneath a pile of pots and pans.
At first I was trying to get a cookie-eating cutie mark, but then I ran out of cookies.
Sweetie, those were intended for every pony, not just you!
Rarity sighed and looked at the cookie tin, finding only crumbs.
Besides, why would I hide your present in the kitchen?
Maybe you wanted to give me some cooking equipment so I could try for a cooking cutie mark.
Didn't you try that right before the sisterhood social?
Rarity helped Sweetie into her coat. The mess would have to wait.
And when you tried to make cupcakes with Pinkie Pie?
That was baking, not cooking.
Sweetie put on another frowny face as well as her snow gear.
Either way, this is your present.
Rarity held up the box. Sweetie made a grab for it, but Rarity easily kept it out of reach.
You're not opening it until tonight. I put a lot of work in this, and I'm not having you ruin it by opening it early.
But I want it now!
Rarity rolled her eyes and stepped out into the cold, waving the present out in front of her.
Then you'll just have to follow me all the way to Mom and Dad's house. Now let's get going. I don't want to arrive late when there's hot cocoa on the stove.
Rarity leaned back into her chair and sipped her hot cocoa, taking small, ladylike sips. As always, the present swapping of Hearthwarming Eve involved Sweetie Belle. Rarity and her parents were just there to see Sweetie enjoy herself. Rarity leaned back in her chair to watch the excitement.
What do you think this is, Rarity?
Sweetie Belle shook another one of the presents under the tree with her hooves. Rarity grinned.
I think you should open it.
Sweetie dug in with her teeth and hooves, destroying the wrapping paper, ribbon, and even the cardboard box in seconds. Sweetie Belle's ears and eyes drooped as she held up a sweater, carefully knitted but tackily designed.
Isn't it lovely?
Said their mother.
I just saw that in the store the other day and remembered you outgrown, or lost, I don't remember which, your old sweater and decided you needed it.
Thanks, Mom.
Sweetie put the sweater aside and dug into the next present.
A dress?
I know that your sister makes a lot of them for you, but the salesman said that design is really in this year,
said their father. Rarity sighed. It might have been in a few decades ago, but the dress was certainly out by now. Hadn't they agreed to split up the presents in the usual way? Cookies and toys from Mom and Dad, clothes from Rarity. She glowered at her parents, who smiled sheepishly. Rarity set her mug down, fidgeting with her hooves as Sweetie opened present after present, all of them ugly clothes. Where were the toys? No Lil Baker's toy oven, no Paint Me Pretty colour-changing carriage set, not even any dolls. Sweetie Belle pushed aside the empty boxes as she reached for the last gift, the one marked
From Rarity. Hold on a moment.
Rarity grabbed the gift from Sweetie's hooves.
I don't think this is ready just yet.
Sweetie Belle looked to her mother, blinking a bit and trying hard to come up with something to say. But Rarity held her ground.
Honey, give your sister her present.
Rarity backed towards the stairs, smiling awkwardly.
I just realized that there's just one last thing I need to do to it. It won't take long.
Rarity, please.
Rarity hoisted the box out of Sweetie's reach, keeping it far from the filly's flailing hooves.
Just give me an hour or two, I promise.
Fine, but dinner is in 2 hours. Don't be late.
I won't.
Rarity dashed up the stairs, holding the present out in front of her. Rarity locked the door behind her. In her absence, her parents had converted her childhood room into a storage area, but at least they'd left the bed clean with fresh linens. She tore open the box and rolled the dress out on the sheets. She couldn't give this to Sweetie. She needed to make something else, and fast.
Maybe I should... No, I can't just modify it. The fact that it's clothing is what makes it unfit.
Rarity paced as she thought.
But what would Sweetie want other than clothes? Whatever it is, there isn't a single store in Ponyville open at this hour. I just have to improvise.
She examined the boxes in her room, opening a few and checking the contents. Most were what she expected. Seasonal decorations, old photo albums, and other knickknacks her parents could neither bear to throw away nor find a good use for. As she continued digging, however, things changed. Small dresses, clearly intended for a teenage filly, began to appear, followed by smaller and smaller clothes and shoes.
These must be my old clothes from high school.
Rarity paused to examine them.
I thought Mother got rid of these things ages ago.
She blushed a bit at the outdated nature of the fashion she had worn so recently in her life. Could such trends really pass by so quickly? Had they, indeed, existed at all? Still, she thought they might be inspiring or useful, and so she set them aside, carefully draping them across the bed and various other boxes. At the bottom of it all stood her old toy chest. Finally, she saw the sorts of things she wanted. A cracked toy oven, some deflated and crushed stuffed animals, all positive signs. She knew there had to be something good in there if she just kept digging. When she spied a certain small plastic hoof sticking out, she finally knew what present her sister would want most.
Dress me up, Daisy?
She exclaimed as she extracted the toy from beneath the crushed remains of a filly's makeup kit.
Your mane is a bit out of sorts, and Celestia only knows where your clothes have gone off to, but you're still every bit as pretty as you were when I was a filly.
Carefully setting Daisy down on her dresser, she examined it, pleased with the condition and shape of the doll. Setting the hair right would take some effort, but Rarity could handle a case of the tangles, even when those tangles were cheap acrylic. The hard part was that Daisy lacked her most important accessories. The extensive array of clothes that went with her were nowhere in her box, and something told Rarity that her searching would be futile. Like all young fillies, she had not yet learned the strength and integrity of fabric. Besides, after all those years in storage, the clothes were no doubt in a sorry shape, not to mention the fact that they would be painfully out of style. Rarity sighed, slowly applying her brush to the doll's mane and tail while she thought aloud.
I can't just give you to Sweetie Belle all by yourself. She has dozens of pony dolls already, and dragon dolls, and even those Wonderbolt action figures that Rainbow Dash and Scootaloo gave her. We need to make you special.
Rarity tried to think back to her childhood. The whole point of Dress Me Daisy was that she could wear almost an infinite array of outfits, all of which were miniature versions of then popular fashion designs. Being an exact 1/6 size doll, any dress could easily be made in Daisy's size. This had made Daisy such a perfect toy for young Rarity. Daisy didn't care that the outfits she wore were unfashionable, impractical, or even badly hoof-made. She would still wear them with style and a smile, always excited to serve as a model for whatever outfit Rarity chose. Rarity turned to look at the assorted clothes strewn about the room, and then smacked her forehead with a hoof.
Am I a dressmaker or not?
She placed Daisy down on the counter and, picking up a pair of scissors, grabbed a nearby tape measure. She measured Daisy, taking notes on a scrap of paper.
Mother won't like this, but then again, Mother should have discarded these outfits long ago.
Armed with her scissors and a measuring tape, she attacked the out-of-date dresses. It took a little trial and error at first, but fortunately, she had been very close to her adult size in her high school days. She hardly needed to make any changes at all, other than the scaling down. Some of the replacement buttons were definitely not on the 1/6 scale, and the zippers had to be replaced by Velcro, but she beamed as she examined them. She clutched one to her chest and grinned.
I can't believe such small dresses are such hard work.
The stitching could be a bit better, and a sewing machine certainly would have helped in some areas, but those were things that she could fix later, when she wasn't exhausted. Besides, if Sweetie ended up loving this gift, she would know what to make Sweetie for her birthday. Rarity sat down on the bed and began to apply the outfits, one after the other, to Dress Me Daisy. Her mind drifted back, filling with fond childhood memories. The begging and pleading she'd done to her parents to keep Daisy fashionable. The hideous but lovingly made outfits she'd made herself, and the hundreds of hours she'd spent making Daisy the star of fashion shows attended exclusively by stuffed animals. She gave Daisy a light hug.
I didn't realize I was going to miss you, Daisy. I just hope that Sweetie Belle loves you like I did.
Rarity gently brushed the doll and set it down on her dresser. There was one last thing that seemed off. Every one of her outfits had gone out of fashion years ago. She looked like an attendee at an Oingo Ponygo or Leitmotif concert. Or worse, wearing out-of-date clothes in a deliberately ironic and unfashionable manner. Rarity sighed and rubbed her eyes with her hoof. It would be morning in a few hours, and she had not slept a wink.
Cute as you are, I can't just leave you like this. What message would it send to Sweetie Belle? She'd probably think I just grabbed some old, ugly doll clothes and chucked them on you to make her happy.
She sighed and looked around, hoping to find something a bit more recent. Her own clothes were hardly an option, since she'd only brought a winter coat to get her across town to and from her parents' house. She could run back to Carousel Boutique and help herself to anything left in stock, but then there was the very real possibility that she wouldn't make it back in time. That left her with only one reasonable option, and she cringed at the mere thought of it.
I worked so hard on this.
She picked up Sweetie's holiday dress. Even by the lamplight, it looked spectacular, the faux silk fabric shimmering slightly.
And it's for a young filly, not a grown mare. I'll have to wing the measurements and just hope for the best.
She looked at the dress, then at Daisy, then back at the dress. Wincing, she picked up her scissors and got to work.
You're the best sister ever!
Rarity awoke to the feel of small hooves around her midsection, realizing too late that she had been sleeping dangerously close to scissors and needles for several hours. She didn't even remember going to sleep. She rubbed a hoof against her cheek, trying to remove the corduroy marks left by the slips of fabric on the dresser. She turned around to face her sister.
How did you get in here, sweetie?
Well, it may not be my super special talent,
Sweetie held up a carefully bent bobby pin.
but Rainbow Dash showed Scootaloo how to pick locks, and Scootaloo showed me. When you didn't come down for dinner last night, I got worried.
Rarity raised her eyebrows.
I missed dinner? And it's morning already.
She could take up the lockpicking issue with Mum and Dad later.
Morning with the best sister ever.
Sweetie clutched her dress in one hoof and Dress Me Daisy in the other. She was rubbing her cheek up and down Daisy's. In the light, Rarity could see her seamstressing had been nowhere near her normal level of excellence, but Sweetie didn't seem to care.
You didn't just make me a really cool dress. You made another one for this totally awesome doll.
Rarity smiled, deciding she would leave the comments concerning the dress's distressed state and the doll's ill-fitting clothes for a later date. Such things could always be fixed.
I'm glad you like your present. I really hoped you would.
She's so cool.
Sweetie hugged it tight.
I really like her mane. And these other outfits are awesome.
Sweetie bounced around the room, kicking her hooves and squealing with delight. Rarity smiled and put a hoof around her excited sister.
I'm just glad you had a good heartwarming Eve.
They moved slowly toward the door.
Now let's go see if Mother had made some of that wonderful coffee of hers. Then maybe later I could teach you how to make dresses for Daisy. It's very simple. You just take an existing pattern and divide all the measurements by 6.
Sweetie Belle beamed, following her sister. She continued to bounce around down the hallway, holding out the doll in front of her and clutching the dress to her chest.
This is the best heartwarming Eve ever.
That was Gifts Ungiven. It was written by Slate Sadpony and read by Scribbler with special guest voice actors Emogak as the voice of Rarity, Mary Medley as the voice of Sweetie Belle, Kate Bug as the voice of their mother, and Webshotter as the voice of their father. Okay, thank you very much for listening. I intended to get this fic out at the weekend, but Christmas and various other things kind of got in the way. This is a salient lesson in why you shouldn't have your bathroom remodelled in the 2 weeks running up to Christmas, because I am no way, shape or form ready for Christmas, and at this point it is 1:45 on Christmas Eve in the UK. So, This fic was originally meant to be out at the weekend, because actually I do have a fic that is different from this one, a separate fic, that is to be released tomorrow. And I hope you will tune in at some point in your busy day to listen to that one. But in the meantime, this is the third of the Christmas heartwarming-based fics that I've put out this year. I am trying my best, people, to not keep putting out sad fics and dark fics. I hope you appreciate the effort I'm putting into this, because it's hard to stay away from the sad fics and the dark fics for this long. Like I'm having physical pains of withdrawal over here. But the Lost Narrator is going to cover that one for you. So, if you've not yet listened to hers, or if at time of recording and uploading this it's not out yet, she's got me covered and she's got you covered. So, go and have a listen to her Christmas special this year, because it picks up all the slack that I am dropping with all these bloody positive fics. Yeah, great regard to the season, peace and goodwill to all men, women, children, ponies, griffins, salamanders, belly button fluff, ants, I don't know. Everything. Right. Now, I am off to wrap more presents. Wish me luck. Be lovely to each other, and good night, everybody. Merry Christmas!